Rats in the Woodpile, The Chinese Trade Deficit. April 13, 2020 by Anna von Reitz. Think of the Rockefellers as the right hand and the Rothschilds as the left hand. A few days ago, we observed that the purportedly massive trade deficit with China is an impossibility. In case you missed that, let this sink in. For many years, we have all been lined up at the supermarket buying goods labeled "Made in China," haven't we? Yes, we have. That is no secret. We paid at the checkout and we took those goods home and made use of them, too. Fair and square. So how is any massive trade deficit possible? It's not. If the money you paid at the checkout made its way back to China, there is literally no way for a trade deficit to exist. Far from it. Logically, the Chinese had to get paid and even make a profit on the transaction. They couldn't stay in business any other way. And they wouldn't have any motivation to keep on shipping goods to us if they weren't getting paid for it, would they? No, they would not. The question arises then, how could the US possibly have a trade deficit with China amounting to trillions of dollars? The only way is if the Chinese workers were never paid the full amount owed for their labor. So, either parties on our end of the pipeline, to use Rockefeller terms, kept the money we paid for the goods, and siphoned it off, or, the Chinese Communist government received it and siphoned it off. Of the two possibilities, it seems likely that both things occurred and that this happened with widespread collaboration, that is, the Chinese officials didn't rat on the American siphoning, so long as the Americans didn't rat on them, with the net result that the Chinese workers went hungry to bed and were no doubt told that this was because the evil Americans welched on their debts. But the Americans aren't evil and we didn't welch on our debts. We paid for the goods we received, so there shouldn't be any trade deficit. Now, the Rockefellers are the experts when it comes to manipulation of pipelines of all kinds, shapes, sorts and descriptions. Any kind of supply line they can commandeer and manipulate as their cup of tea, and it doesn't matter if it's Standard Oil of Omaha controlling an oil pipeline or the DHS manipulating the SWIFT system. If there's a pipeline involved, look for the Rockefellers. So, there's a pipeline, the one feeding our money back to the Chinese workers. And you had better believe that the Rockefeller clan will be involved in creating and manipulating the so-called Chinese trade deficit as a result. However, this also involves siphoning off the pipeline, not just manipulating the deliveries and routes. Trillions of dollars didn't ever make it where that money was intended to go, and it's not in the pipeline now. It got taken out of the pipeline, not just shunted or delayed, so that indicates that the Rothschilds are involved, too. The Rothschilds are the great masters of siphoning, like the Rockefellers are the masters of controlling supply chains and pipelines. Hot dog, it looks like both families were engaged in creating the Chinese trade deficit and trying to lob it off onto poor old mom and pop standing in line at Walmart. Like the non-existent U.S. national debt, the Chinese trade deficit is a. An illusion based on bad bookkeeping, or b. evidence of governmental incompetence and malfeasance, or c. evidence of financial crimes on a vast scale, engineered by unknown parties, but with the usual suspects in the line-up. The Chinese shipped the goods. The Americans paid for the goods. So where's the Chinese trade deficit in that equation? No doubt it's under the table making love with the U.S. national debt.